5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, we're live from STS Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas for Was It Really That Good with my old buddy, Gene Jackson. How the hell are you, Gene?
I'm doing well, Brian. How about yourself?
Hey, did you enjoy that music?
Man, I've kind of knocked me out there for a minute. I didn't realize that. Is that the new theme song or has that always been a theme song?
Yeah, that's the theme song ever since someone turned us into SoundCloud. So I know it gets everybody to relax the mood and gets us ready for Was It Really That Good. Before we get started, though, I want you to put your shit over because I was your guest with P3 Radio a couple of Sundays ago. Well, almost over a month ago by the time this comes out, probably. So just tell us what you're doing now because I really enjoy it. I like watching it. And I put it in the background. You got a really good co-host there. So yeah, like I told you before we even started, y'all got a real good chemistry. So I'm gonna shut up. You put it over.
Yeah. So did a podcast for a really long time, and then I stopped because I wasn't really having fun with it. And the most fun I'd ever had doing the podcast, besides doing this one, obviously with you, was when Neil Taylor was my co-host, and we were doing them every Sunday night on Blog Talk Radio. And so I started in with this Cheap Heat TV live here on StreamYard and did a couple episodes with just me and a guest and had Charles Anders, my buddy, on that I've known for several years and had a lot of fun. What was weird, we had two guests scheduled on that episode. Well, the first guest had technical difficulties, never could really get on. And so me and Charles just kind of BS'd our way through the whole show. We had a good time. And I said, how would you feel about being co-host? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, we do Cheap Heat TV Live. We have a guest on. We're trying to kind of maneuver some things around where we do a guest, maybe say 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll do 15 or 20 minutes of me and him talking about current wrestling events and things of that nature. But we're having a lot of fun. I'm glad, all the feedback we've gotten so far has been positive. People seem to enjoy it. Like I say, we do it live on Facebook, on my Facebook, facebook.com/King of All Wrestling Media. We also do it on the facebook.com/Cheap Heat TV Live page. Please go like that if you haven't already, if anybody watching this. And then for the people who like to listen on their way to work, they don't want to have to sit and watch a video. I do an audio version over at anchor.fm. But to find all of that, I have a brand new website just came out this week, cheapheattvlive.com. You can find the audio version, the video version, Twitter, all that stuff. Every link that you could want to have to the show is there. And then plus we put video of our guests' matches and things like that starting now. So.
Awesome. I really liked it. We had a fun time with P3 Radio. Charlie's first time I met him, really a smart guy about the business. So I can't wait to be back on it. Also, Anchor, it's on Anchor. I'm doing a flashback because iTunes doesn't put all the episodes up, and they are really easy to use, guys. So if you're wanting to do a podcast, they're really great to use. So I brought to you, this is something we're doing different. The video version is going to have me and you. The audio version is going to have my buddy Randy Smith is supposed to be dropping by, and we're going to either put it in the middle or at the end here, talking about a show that he actually, this is his video that we're watching. He was there, and it is also a wrestling show, well, that I actually wrestled on. So 11/9/1990. So how old were you, Gene?
11/9/1990. I was 17.
No, well, yeah, that's not bad. So we're here. Dennis Carluzzo put this together with Joel Goodhart. You know those two names probably from the Philadelphia area. It was a benefit show for Tom Robinson, and I told you there's like folklore about this show. It was the greatest show ever. We can't believe those people were on the show. Had a sheet guy like me there wrestling. Dave Meltzer was there. There was.
I was going to ask that. I was seeing the
yes.
camera. I was like, "Is that Meltzer in the crowd?"
It was. There was over 1,000 people there. The talk was that no one, and I don't know this for shoot, but it was in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, which the place we wrestled is very close to a lot of places where they film movies. There's been tons of movies filmed in that area. And it involved guys like the Midnight Express, Jim Cornette, Terry Funk. We'll go over all that. But the rumor was, or what we were told was, that everybody worked for free. And that actually Lawler and Gilbert had to miss the Memphis TV tapings that week just to do this for Tom Robinson. And Tom's been on our show before, but you don't know Tom Robinson unless you've heard his name. But he was a guy that become friends with wrestlers, picked them up at hotels, took care of business, took them to the hotel. They let him in for free. Just kind of made friends with a lot of guys. As soon as he got sick, it was like, this guy might die. We need to help him raise some money. And you seen him walking out. Yeah. Well, a week before that, just a few weeks before that, he was bedridden. And he was just wanting to be able to have somebody bring him into the wheelchair and then walk up to the steps. But he actually was there. He was walking around. He didn't do a lot and cracking jokes about him, them doing a benefit for him. So he was in a real good mood. But it was real popular, I guess, really for the kayfabe sheet guys, because it was just – that's what Tom was. He was a kayfabe sheet guy, and all the wrestlers were his friends, and they come together to do this benefit for him. So we're going to do, as always, on the live stream, we'll do it up to commercial break, and then we will go – you can watch the live stream on Patreon. And then if you want to just listen to the audio version, you can listen to it. It'll come out a little bit later on our feed. So the first match was the Golden Phoenix against Jungle Jim McPherson. So what do you think?
I vaguely remember Jungle Jim McPherson from that time. And this show was kind of cool in that I remember so many of the names throughout the show, like especially in that Battle Royal from the After Mags back in the day and the PWI 500 and results and things. So this guy's like finally, after all these years, put a face with the name. So I've seen Jungle Jim in action, but my gosh, you talk about a match where the timing is off. I've seen matches where the timing's off in the beginning, but eventually something clicks and they kind of reset. And so there was the one point after several. The leapfrog. But the point where he goes to pull the rope and pull him in, but instead knocks him to the floor. He kind of walks around and slides back in, and you think, okay, they're slowing down now. We're good. And then he shoots him off, does the drop down, and the dude just eats shit. And it doesn't get any better. The Golden Phoenix, I wasn't familiar with him, but he looked like the love child of Dan Spivey and Tim Horner.
I didn't think about that. But yeah, you want me to tell you who the Golden Phoenix ended up doing? I don't know if you remember this because I didn't remember it, but he was in USWA and he was New Jack's partner, and he wrestled as Homeboy. That's Homeboy. Yeah.
I always wondered what happened to Homeboy. I was watching some old USWA on YouTube a while back, and I seen New Jack and Homeboy. I was like, wonder whatever happened to that guy. So he was the Golden Phoenix.
This was before Lawler was at the show, was friends with Carluzzo and Goodhart, and he seen him, and he wanted to come to Memphis, and he became New Jack's partner, USWA Tag Team Champion, by the way.
Yeah, that's some great trivia right there.
Did you see that? Did you see Dennis Carluzzo's son? I can't think of his name right now. He was the youngest ever ring announcer. He ring announced this first match, so I thought it was really cute. But then we had, did you see who was ring announcing my match? The one and only Chris Cruz.
Oh, yeah, I did catch that. You got to forgive me. I watched this morning on my phone because work's been really slow. So some of the people I couldn't make out because I was watching it on my phone. But yeah, I did catch the voice after halfway through the announcement. Wait a minute, is that Chris Cruz? There were so many moments like that. I was like, is that Chris Cruz? I was like, is that Meltzer in the freaking crowd? Like
Right.
a lot of that, kind of stuff throughout this one.
All right, so the next match was the Blade with the blind manager Marcus Cretan. He went against BT.
So he was blind.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I made a sarcastic comment to myself. I'm like, what is this guy freaking blind? He's leading him out there like.
That was the gimmick. He wasn't really blind, but that was a gimmick. Yeah. BT Express that was Jamie Ward. He's in the group, still a friend of mine. Gosh, who's the babyface? Who's the heel? Here's what I'm gonna say. There was no psychology on the match. I had a couple of good clotheslines, but I want to tell you why. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the story of this match. We were gonna wrestle all over the place, blood, you name it. I was gonna wear a white mask under the other mask. He was ripping it off. We were blading the whole 9 yards. 10 minutes before the match, Carluzzo comes up to me and says, and remember, this is my second match ever. He says to me, Corny said y'all can't do any of that shit. I said, okay. So I called that match, so blame it on me, in the ring and didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and which was obvious. But it was, I don't know. We rewatched it last night, me and the wife. Meltzer said it wasn't the worst match he ever seen, but he wanted to call it an abortion, so that's what he told me.
Well, I was going to ask you, once I saw Meltzer, I'm like, I got to know how many stars did this match get if it got written up. But so, all right, this may be one of our longer shows because I have a couple questions here. So tell me, how did you, number one, how did you go about ending up having your second match ever on this show all the way off in Pennsylvania? But number two, tell me the origins of BT Express. Like, how did you come up with the gimmick, the look, the whole bit? What were you?
Well, it was supposed to be a street fight. So you see me in street fight thing. That's what it was supposed to be. I didn't have tights at the time,
right?
So it was supposed to be a street fight. The thing BT Express was, my name BT, but it was bad times. That's what I did on the interview. It's all about bad times, but it also was an inside joke to Billy Travis, who was the BT Express one time, and he got in trouble for all kinds of things, and we kind of nudged, look, there's the BT Express, Right. How I got on that show with all these names at that time was that me and Tom Robinson were really, really good friends. I was good friends with Dennis Carluzzo. I talked to these guys, and with a Joel Goodhart and his co-host Carmela Panfield, they did wrestling radio, and every Saturday after Memphis wrestling went off, I was on the radio in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, putting over the shows. So it was just a connection, and Tom was like, "Hey, Dennis, I want to put BT just did his first match. I want him to put his second match. I want him to get on the show, blah, blah, blah." They paid for everything. I didn't pay for a flight. I didn't pay for anything, which is weird because it was a benefit, but you know how benefits are. But that's how I got there. And by the way, I talked to Cornette many years ago about this, and he said he had nothing to do with that. That was all Dennis Carluzzo telling shit. So,
but they knew you weren't going to go bow up on Cornette and be like, listen here, damn it, we're doing our street fight. So here's another question that occurred to me watching this, not knowing any of the backstory. Once they decided you guys weren't going to do any of that shit, why didn't they just drop the street fight aspect of it? Like, because they made it a point to mention like a minute into the match,
no.
Don't forget, this is a street fight. And then nothing happened that went along with being a street fight. I'm like, why did they even say that? But
I mean, I was scared to death. You're talking, like I said, you're talking 10 minutes before he went. They go, hey, blah blah blah, and my buddy Blade, he helped me with the newsletter, so it was like a battle of the newsletter guys. And he lost it. He was mentally not capable of doing it. And I was saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. Also, something to note about that match, and we'll put this on YouTube, is it may not look that way. A couple of times it does, but it may not look that way, but it was so fucking stiff. I was bruised from every kick, every punch everything was legit. I mean, it was hard as hell. there's also a big rumor about this match that I got mad and because I couldn't do the street fight and I went home. It's even on the message boards. I looked this up just to see about the message boards. And you know how that was back in the day, the message boards.
Yeah.
But it's not true. My dad was dying of cancer and he got really sick. So I went home the next day. That the rumor was I was pissed. I was pissed because, as you could tell, the next match we do, remember, no blood, no
Yeah.
fighting outside the ring, no chairs. Well, I was pissed. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the reason I left and went home. And I've told you this before. I was going to wrestle Mark Curtis as a turtle the next night because Curtis said, dude, you know, the match sucked, but if you'll go to the match with me tomorrow night, me and Mark were friends. And he said, just listen to me. I'll walk you through. We'll do real simple stuff, and I'm over as hell. So you do that with me. And I was like, oh man, I'm fixing to wrestle turtle. And then, like I said, my dad, I just really didn't know what was happening with my dad. The next match, let's talk about. Remember, no bleeding, no fight outside the ring. It featured the Sandman against JT Smith.
So, yeah, this was kind of jarring because, like, anybody watching this, the Sandman goes on to be known as having one of the most epic entrances in wrestling. That's what he's known for.
You didn't like this? You didn't like him coming in?
And so the guy who later became famous for coming out to Enter Sandman by Metallica came out to Surfing USA with his lime green tights and his, you know, Peaches, his manager. Just very strange to see. I remembered. I mean, I remember seeing him when he used to wrestle in the bodysuit thing, you know, the surfing outfit. But and of course, JT Smith. This was before he found his Italian roots a few years later and became part of the FBI. But yeah, so I'm guessing that you guys got told you couldn't do any of this stuff, so they would have something to do in their match because yeah, they spent most of the time on the floor. Chairs and blood, and it wasn't, you know, it was, I guess it was better than the first couple of matches, but you know, it wasn't what the guys would go on to become known for later, for sure.
Meltzer said that they were told not to do that either, to not brawl, but they didn't listen to anyone, did what they wanted to do. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want us doing it, them doing it. Who knows? Yeah, Sandman bled. JT missed a dive, hit the top rope, and then Sandman just pinned him all of a sudden. It wasn't a good match, but like you said, and they were a lot better than we were in the first match too. JT Smith was really good, not as good here, but here's the funny thing: watching this, Sandman really never got any better, did he?
No. The only thing I can figure, and you know, and of course, everybody always credits Paul Heyman for, you know, being able to take guys and amplify the positives and try to downplay the negatives. So I guess at some point people were like, well, this is what he is. So he's not a body guy, so let's put some baggy pants and a t-shirt on him, which suited him, and let's give him a stick and a cigarette and a beer and let him have a really cool entrance, and the matches are what they are. Because you're right, he's definitely a guy that, you know, a lot of people, you see an old match and then you see him 10 years later and there's vast improvement. And no, not really. Sandman's the same dude now that he was then, you know.
Well, Sandman's matches were always either just the brawls like we just watched, or it was a lot of psychology and doing nothing. So he maybe improved with psychology, but yeah, just didn't really look any better. And then we get some fun stuff coming up right before we go to a commercial break here. But Lawler and Funk do a contract signing. Hey, it was Funk, by the way. Just awesome stuff. Ended up with Eddie Gilbert coming out, which led. They all went back to the dressing room, which I kind of thought was weird. They came back out. Lawler against Gilbert, and at ringside with Eddie Gilbert is the famous Stately Wayne Manor. Do you remember the name Stately Wayne Manor from
Yes,
Wrestling
I do.
World?
From
Yes,
Wrestling World, absolutely. I was always at the time wondering if it was even a real person or if it was kind of like, you know, some of the allegedly made up characters over on the PWI side of things. But yeah, then I ended later on. There was like a Japanese DVD or Japanese VHS where he did commentary, and then he popped up managing on some shows that I saw pictures of.
He
before
did
today.
the first few shows of Eastern Championship Wrestling also when it was Eastern. He was a commentator there. Actually, a friend of mine. It seems like we're talking about used to be a friend of mine. It might be me that's the asshole here, but I don't talk to him, or Tom anymore. But Staley's shoot name is Ernie Santilli, and Ernie was a huge letter writing guy. Meltzer had a letter writing page, and he wrote letters, or had maybe they called it letters page, probably, or the page for letters instead of letter write page. But he would write letters, and he was had a lot of doing Wrestling World, had a lot of friends in the business. And he only did a few matches, but he was ringside with Eddie. I really liked this match. Did you like it?
I did. I love Eddie Gilbert. People know that. Love Lawler. Love Funk. So that whole coming together there, I was like, all right, now we're talking, And the thing that struck me about this match, and we'll see if you called it as well. Jim Cornette, Jim Ross, and even me, gripe about how DDTs aren't protected as a finisher anymore, pile drivers and all this shit. And I just shared a post before I got on here of Tank saying something similar. The very first wrestling move that was done in this match between all the punches was a DDT. The second was a pile driver. So the first two things done in this match was a DDT and a pile driver. But it worked for these guys, and it was kind of a brawl. But I never saw a match between Gilbert and Lawler that I didn't enjoy, So it was fun.
Oh, I liked the way they did it. It was Lawler almost, getting a huge shine, and then Eddie taking. They just slowed down and stopped, and Eddie started, the chain first, and then using the ring bell hammer. Did you notice this? Because I've seen this match a bunch of times and never noticed it. I was there live. When Lawler did the baseball slide on Ernie on Stately Wing Manor. He then Stately Wing Manor got up to the ring to do something else, and the referee told him to go down while Eddie was getting some heat. And when he got down, he fell. He went straight to the fucking floor. I was done. I was like, "Oh,
I missed that.
God.
I got to go back and watch that."
This was the first time I ever met. Are you still with me? Looks like you're. Oh, there you are. You went in and out. This is the first time that I ever met Cornette live. And we had talked before, but I had never really met him in person. And he introduced me to Bobby Eaton that night and Stan Lane. But when he introduced me to Bobby Eaton shook my hand and said, "Hey, I'm Bobby Eaton." And I'm like, "No fucking shit. You're Bobby Eaton." And then the other thing was, remember, Stately Wing Manor was really not, I mean, he was a big deal in Wrestling World, but in the wrestling business, maybe not. But I called him Ernie, and he was like, "Don't do that. Kayfabe. And I'm like, really? There's nobody out here that knows that two people exist. It was the weirdest thing. He did a couple more things, I think, with Gilbert. I know he probably took a pile driver from Jerry Lawler or something, but Gilbert turned in the end, and this led to the next night and about 2 or 3 more matches of him against Cactus Jack. Jack came in and hit Gilbert on mistake, and Lawler pinned him. I love this match. It was fun, and it was fun to say that I've been on a show with Eddie Gilbert, Jerry Lawler, Cactus Jack, and Terry Funk, and even the Sandman. I'm a mark for the Sandman. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a commercial break, and if you're watching it on Facebook, this is it. The stream starts, and if you want, let me right there, Patreon. If you want the full stream, that's how you get it on Patreon. It's only $3, and you can watch the full video. If you want to just listen to the audio, we'll put it up later. All right. Now let's get to a commercial break. All right.